To call to order the common council meeting. It is Tuesday, August 11th, and the time is 7 p.m. I'll begin by asking Amanda Jackson to call the roll.
Alder Van Ash,
Here.
Alder Loendorf, here. Alder Knott, excused. Alder Smith,
Here.
Alder Wojciech,
Here.
Mayor Ken Smith.
Here. Thank you. Item 2 is the Pledge of Allegiance. We'll face east for the week. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice. Item 3 is the rules of the City of Onalaska Common Council and its subcommittees. This is a harassment-free forum. The City Council and its subcommittee meeting shall be conducted in a courteous manner. Citizens, council, and committee members shall be allowed to state their positions in an atmosphere free of slander, obscene remarks, or threats of violence. Sufficient warnings may be given by the sergeant at arms or the chair at any time during the remarks. And in the event that any individual shall violate the rules of decorum as set forth, such person may then be cut off from comment or debate. Item 4 is public input, and we'll proceed by the method that we described earlier. First up, I have, I'll read the people that have registered. We have Jacob Mooney. He has registered in support of the agenda item 6-6. But he does not want to speak, but he is available to answer questions. We have Dale Brott from All Things Holdings. This person has registered in support, does not want to speak, but is available to answer questions. And we have Alexis Brott from All Things Holding. They are available to speak and answer questions, and they are present in support. We have Colin Close from All Things Holding. They would like to be registered as being in support, and they would like to speak. Colin, would you like to speak now? Sure. Please do speak.
Here in support of, and I'm the architect for the project. It's a 48-unit project, 6 buildings, residential in style, low roof line, 24 foot 9 inches, totally screened from all properties around, and meeting all criteria from the planning and engineering departments.
Thank you, sir. Next, I have Adrian Hagan. He would like to be recorded as being in an opposition to item 6M on the agenda, and he would like to speak. Adrian, would you like to speak now?
I live right next door, west of the property. We have a common property line. And when I look over there, I see a 20-foot bank from my property. So I see up. And that's for the filling, of course. But that also lends itself to lots of problems in terms of water, because we have a water problem out there to begin with. And that's our contention that this is going to make it worse. And unless it's properly handled, and that's kind of what was here. So what's proper, but it's something that really has to be looked at, because we get periodic flooding out there. The road flooded, and it's just that constant problem out there. The other thing we're concerned with is density, because of one entrance onto the highway, and it is in that curve. It may not be directly in the middle, but it's on the edge of that big mountain house curve out there. And we just see a lot of problems with cars, numbers of cars, and the traffic that's already on the road. And then right from the corner is S, which is tremendously busy, much more than you would imagine. And so that's another big concern. Those are the two main things I guess we were hoping for a lower density, because most of the area is lower density, even though there are a few multi dwellings and so on. But I know that was a convention in the Meyer farm when that was developed, it was only allowed so many multiple units in there. They were all duplexes once in a while on a corner, but that was something that was a concern was there, and we're just above that, right next to it. And so that's a little area concern, I guess. Yeah. And as far as the screening goes, that's an interesting point because it's 20 feet in from the boundary line, which is partway up this 20-foot bank. It's not going to screen anything but the bank. The houses are going to be above it. So screening on the west side is not going to go down. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Okay, and then next I have Dennis Borchert. He is not representing a different organization. He is concerned with agenda item H. He is opposed to it and he would like to speak. Dennis, come on.
Dennis Ford here, 2225 Sand Lake Road. I got to reinforce the same thing that Adrian just said. I'm just up the road from it. We talk about 100-year floods. Well, I think we've had that in the last 5 years, 3 times. We've been flooded terrifically down the road. And Sand Lake Creek floods over, and all this additional roof and blacktop for 127 parking spots. We haven't been told of any cure for where that water's going. We've been asking, and I cannot get an answer yet. My other concern is that corner is curved like this. Any car coming out of that entrance going north is going to block the oncoming cars for people coming out of County S. You aren't going to be able to see because it's going to be blocking a traffic cone. Just go out there and take a look. I've lived there over 50 years. Adrian's been almost 51 years. We know how the water runs out there, believe me. That's one of my concerns, and I'm not really affected by the buildings myself because I'm far enough away. But the additional water is unreal. The original plans for out there years ago when Sand Lake Road was designed and redesigned the curbs had a 4-foot embankment that was supposed to be on our side of the road to keep the flooding going into Cedar Creek. I opposed it at the county meeting. They said, oh, sorry, it's already done. If that bank was on our side of the road, it would make a terrific difference from all the coulees up there. Hauser Coulee, all of those comes from that one little creek, which right now is only about this wide because of solid trees that people up there and take a look. The water can't flow. But I guess that's my main concern because the rest of it affects my neighbors a lot more. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Okay, thank you for that. Now we're on item 5, report from the mayor. In our packet, we have the Onalaska 175 anniversary proclamation. I'm not going to read it here because I did read it at the release of our 175 publication. If you haven't had a chance to get a copy of that, I do have a couple of them with me here, but we do have them in the office. If you stop by City Hall, feel free to pick one of those up at the office. Also, I wanted to take a moment to recognize 3rd District Alderperson Larry Jurassic. He has resigned from City Council, and we'll be addressing that later on this evening. I do have a certificate recognizing his service, and we'll be mailing that out to him. He was not able to join us this evening. So regarding that 3rd District Alderperson vacancy, in our packet, we do have a memo from our city attorney. Maybe Amanda, you would want to just summarize that for the council members. And it is up to this council to decide what action they would like to take regarding that vacancy.
Yeah, as Kim mentioned, it is up to this council to decide how they would like to fill the vacancy. There are, kind of as outlined, 4 primary choices. So the first would be to appoint an individual for the remainder of the term. If you look to the city ordinances, it does actually kind of step-by-step outline that process, which I did include in the memo. But basically, if that is the chosen option, then the mayor would officially announce the vacancy and seek letters of interest and resumes. There would be a 21-day time frame for people to submit those, and then there would be interviews with the council and mayor. Ultimately, it is the mayor that makes a recommendation to the council, and then the council would approve or or not approve the appointment that the mayor has made. And then that person would take office for the remainder of the term through 2028. There is a secondary option where the council could appoint an individual until the April election. If that were to happen, then you would go through that same process as I just outlined. However, rather than serving through April 2028, they would serve until the April 2027 election. What is a little interesting about that option would be if you put this on the ballot, same for option number 3, is what happens then is because there's always a vacancy, right, in each district, there would essentially be district 3 would be on the ballot, and you could have multiple people, and people would actually choose their top 2 candidates. And then the 2 candidates with the most votes would become the older persons. The person with the most votes would take the 2-year term, and the person with the second most votes would take the 1-year term. So that is a little bit different than how we typically, run elections for older persons positions. Option 3 would be to simply leave the position vacant right now and then have an April election to fill the remaining 1 year of the term. Otherwise, no one ever wants to hear themselves speak, but definitely not on radio. The last option is to have a special election outside of a regularly scheduled election. This is especially tricky just because of the time of year. Like, we're already in the November election season, and so we can't have a special election until we get through that November election season. And then we would have to have it before the spring election season. So we really have like a very small window to hold a special election. Honestly, I don't know that I've ever seen a January or February special election, but I threw all options on the table, and that would be an option. As I noted below, this is really a policy decision, but I think there's a few things worth pointing out. The first is, from city staff perspective, we would probably, sort of recommend against a special election just because we don't have a budget for it. And so that, an unbudgeted cost. Also, I think would be somewhat confusing, and we probably have relatively low voter turnout just because of the time of year. If we were to have like a December, January, February election. We also did not offer a November election. While technically that is an option, we are already past the time for a primary. And so if we found ourselves in a situation where we needed a primary, we would have the opportunity to have one. Also, it's just, we'll be pushing into that November election. And so we did not include that because we didn't feel it was really an option. So just a few things to consider.
Okay, Rick, did you want to add anything?
No, we covered everything that I was thinking. So.
Okay, so I think maybe what we'll do is I'll just go through the older people and see if you want to make a comment or have a question. We'll start with Kathy, and then we'll just come around this way. Kathy, do you have any questions, or do you want to make a comment?
No questions. I think I like the idea of number 2. That way, I don't like the idea of leaving the seat vacant. So I want that district to make sure that they have proper, adequate representation. But
I like item number 1. I like the idea of trying to appoint someone for the remaining term to keep it even with the rest of the elections. And also, Steve Knott called me and asked me if I would voice his opinion that he would like number 1 also was his preference. So.
Thank you. Jim Nash?
Well, I don't agree with either one of those. I actually with number 3, leaving the position vacant and have an April election. Because come in December, we have to decide whether we're going to run again or not. And we fill out paperwork to say that we may not be running. And as far as the committees that Larry was on, I think we can maybe split them up if necessary. And each take one, or those that are most important. I certainly would be willing to take on another committee. I think that seems to be the best position. Of course, it leaves the situation it does, and if we have a 3-2 vote, Now, that's one thing. Before, if we had 3-3, you would make the deciding vote. So it's still as a 3-2 if we had get to that point. So, which is all right by me, but number 3 seems to be the best position for me.
James?
I like either 1 or 2, if somebody wants to take a position, wants to be my food. That'd be a good idea. Get beyond if it's still April or the rest of the term. Either way, be fine with me.
And I guess for as far as my opinion goes, we always want to have the community, pick a person, as much as possible. But, we think about, especially in, this recent elections, it is very difficult to get people to run for elected positions. It's very, very difficult to get new people. So it would be a nice opportunity for someone. Or, even looking at the election, if there were 2 spots, it would be a good opportunity for someone to know there was a little bit easier way to get elected. It wouldn't be quite as competitive, perhaps, if that was making them feel intimidated. The appointment process, it takes a bit of our work to get that done. So I was thinking, by the time we go through the process, assuming people come forward and we find someone and we get appointed, we're already getting close to that time where you normally have to take out papers to be running already. So it does seem like we would just barely get someone appointed and it would already be time when we'd be entering in. So, I think any of these can work, and I think it's a council decision. I'm just kind of thinking out loud some of the pros and cons. So I guess we've got some.
If I had a question,
Sure.
if we did like number 1, we actually go out and see if anybody wants to apply.
Mhm.
And we don't get anybody, could we still, would still be would appoint someone if we don't get anybody to volunteer to submit the resume?
You're thinking like you would just pick somebody without them showing interest?
Yeah, well, number 1, the number 1 is you would apply for somebody would apply, but what if nobody does? That's when you,
Then I think you're probably gonna go out for another round,
Yeah.
or you're going to, as Tim said, you're getting close to December, but I would foresee the appointment process wrapping up at the October meeting. Then I think you're looking at, do we want to go through this again, or do we want to make the decision to just have this be on the April election and hope that something?
We would have to just try to figure it out. I mean, if, when Larry's last time he ran on Liz.
and it would just start.
And Stevens last time he ran on a list.
His term just started, right? And Larry's just got reelected.
I would go with this. And Tom just did a write-in
Yeah, and I
campaign
write-
because we had nobody on the ballot. So it is a real challenge that we're facing.
Question.
Yep.
Amanda, your note in here says that if we were to appoint somebody for the remainder of the term, it would be the longest appointment that the city has made. Are there any negative impacts that you can perceive from that?
I don't think so. I think it's the ones that have already been sort of mentioned, which is, you're taking the choice away from the people for almost the entire term, right? And so beyond that, I don't think there's any negatives. We've appointed people in the past who have then gone on to successfully get reelected through the election process. It's just never been we've never had a vacancy for quite this long.
Yeah. Stephen Knott was
Yeah, Steve
appointed
was
for
appointed
his
that
first
way.
term. Yeah, it doesn't happen a lot, but it has happened. Of course, we would rather have someone be elected. So really, it's just a council decision. Just kind of tossing around. And you just keep that settled. And nobody will. We would need a motion in order to go forward from this point, yes.
Make a motion to choose number 3, leave the position vacant, since it seems to be the best option available. Well, no, it's difficult to get people to run. And I think, I know for myself, I certainly get people calling me from other districts. So there's still representation in the city. So I would Make the motion for number 3, leave position vacant and have an April election.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor by Jim Nash. Is there a second? Jim, I'm not hearing a second.
Okay.
That motion has failed for lack of a second. Someone like to make a different motion?
I'll make a motion that we select number 2, appoint an individual till the April election.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor for option number 2. It's been seconded by James Trick to appoint an individual until the April election. So we have this motion on the floor now under discussion. Would anyone like to comment? Jim Nash.
Just quickly, that if we do not find someone that we can appoint, we have to make a decision at that point what we do. So
Any other discussion? Staff, any comments you to have us consider? Amanda James.
Just to go back to the original question, I do think with option 2, since you've already decided to go to an April election, that if you didn't find somebody, it would just remain vacant until the April election.
Option 3.
Again, right?
Could still come out, right?
Yeah, we could end up with Jim Nash. But we tried.
Yeah.
Okay, any other comments from anybody? All right, the motion on the floor is to appoint an individual until the April election. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. That is the direction we will. Thank you very much for that. And then under item D, National Night Out Recognition, I just asked to have this on the agenda because I don't know if how many of you were, well, I know a lot of you were able to attend National Night Out. But that is just, it's such a great night where our community comes together and supports each other and our police officers. There were literally 1,000 people at National Night Out between the car show and the kids and the police and the fire, the food, the sponsors, the nonprofit organizations that gather to support the community and our police officers. Kathy came and helped me serve watermelon. We served 10 watermelon in less than an hour. And I'm sure everyone has stories about their success. Many people were there with their families. So I just want to thank everyone who made that happen. It's a wonderful night for our community. So thank you. Okay, recommendation for approval and/or possible action on the following committees, commissions, boards, and officials. All items listed under the consent agenda are considered routine and will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion on these items unless a council member requests removal, in which event the item will be removed from the consent agenda and considered in the order of the business in the non-consent agenda. Are there any items the councilors would like removed from the consent agenda? Jim Bonan.
another plan commission, letter M and letter N.
Are there any other items the commissioners would like to move from the consent agenda? Not seeing or hearing any, I'd like to entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
A motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second. The motion has been made by Jim Bonash. It's been seconded by Kathy Lohendorf to approve the consent agenda. This voting is by roll call. Amanda, can you call the roll?
Alder Wojciech. Alder Smith.
Aye.
Alder Benash.
Aye.
Alder Londor.
Thank you for that. The consent agenda has now been approved. We'll move on to item 7, which is a recap of the items that were pulled from the consent agenda. The first was from the Plan Commission, item M. This item, item M, was approval of a general plan application to create a plan unit development to allow for a new row house development project. This item was approved at the Plan Commission with 11 conditions. I'd like to have have a motion to put this on the floor.
Motion to put this on the floor.
Thank you. Second.
Is that a motion to approve or we don't need a motion to put it on the floor. We need either a motion to approve or
Just approve it or deny it, so we can discuss it.
Make a motion to deny the general development plan.
Is there a second?
Second that.
We have a motion on the floor to deny. It's been set by Jim Benash. It's been seconded by James. Under discussion. Yes, Jim Benash.
Since I'm in the first district, I've had an opportunity to speak with, meet with, and review the area that's under consideration for this development. I believe I have an obligation to bring this forward to the council. The homeowners' concerns are, one, as you heard this evening, about the stormwater management plan. Also, with the increase of impervious surfaces, where's this water going to go? Creek bed in the area on the east side of the road cannot accommodate the water that is already accumulating during storms. Now, the next question is, who will keep this creek bed clean, and then who's going to pay for it? Now, this street is the city or the county's responsibility, but who's going to take care of this creek bed when it overflows and needs to be cleaned out, and then who's going to pay for it? Also, as we mentioned this evening, as has been mentioned this evening, there will be an increase in traffic density. Does an R4 zoning really match the development that has been going on in this area? There are already a multitude of apartments, complexes, condos at County Road S, N, and S. The apartments at Fields aren't done with their buildings either. The intersection of SN and S may have a roundabout in the future. Will this really meet the goals of the commercial corridor and improve the Sand Lake corridor? Is the proposal for development compatible with the single family housing in the area as well? The major traffic concern is the entrance and exit onto Sand Lake Road from the proposed development. Is this a legal area that you can do this? Since this is the Holman School District, we can expect school buses during peak travel times to be on this roadway. Will the buses stop on the road as they normally do to pick up children, or will they drive up into the parking lot? Now, will there also be speed restrictions in this area? With the area planned for 2 to 3 bedrooms to accommodate families, there in all likelihood will be bicycles and pedestrian traffic. So right now it's 35 miles an hour. Who's going to make that decision as to the speed restrictions? With the development also comes the need for increased police and fire protection. Now, the Live on a 2040 comprehension plan includes core values like community, environmental concerns, and ensure the quality of life of its citizens. According to the plan's intro, the idea is to have a tight-knit small town feel to establish a single family and 2-family homes in residential areas. According to national statistics, the average household is shrinking. What are the needs right now as it relates to the character of our city? I've also read the legislation proposed concerning rezoning. I may not be an attorney, but I'm not totally convinced the city would be forced to accept rezoning of certain plots of land to accommodate development. Now, will these rental properties be leased or purchased? There will be HOAs. I believe that Cross County is considered a service industry. Affordable housing is what is needed in the area. The existing single-family housing in the area have expressed their concern about what is going to be built on this plot of land. Homeowners don't object to development. It's the rezoning to accommodate the expansiveness of what is planned.
Sir, are there any other discussion? Any discussion? Sure, did you want to comment on this?
Yeah, I can address a couple things there. So as part of the development of a stormwater plan to accommodate the runoff from the site, that'll be stamped by a professional engineer, be reviewed by city staff. Site has already been filled up to the 100-year flood elevation of 1% annual chance. That was approved by FEMA as part of the previous work done on the site. The site itself in the scheme, the watershed in its entirety is a relatively small portion. Each portion does add up to a larger portion, but I feel this development will be draining until it gets to the 1% annual chance where it floods across the road, be accommodated on site. As far as the traffic, I didn't call the county highway commissioner yesterday. They would be approving the driveway permit. He reviews those himself. I'm discussing it with him. He did not see that there was anything that he would not approve for a driveway permit, and did not see anything with the speed or site distances at that corner that he would not approve the permit. The site does have city utilities accessible for development. This site has been through many iterations. I think the iteration you see today, it can be served by the facilities that are there on site today.
Thank you, Jim. Any other
Yeah,
commissioners?
so you're comfortable that the drainage, the sewer, the drainage and the traffic are the two issues that seem to come up a lot the last discussion, and you're comfortable that we can handle that?
The traffic that is in our collector street, it carries 4,500 cars a day. That this development, as I've stated before, will 48 homes. It's probably in our 300 cars a day that will be able to be taken on that roadway. I do not, as we're stated, we are looking at future improvements at the intersection S and SN through the TID that's out in that area. But at this time, I feel the roadway network can handle that traffic. The drainage for the site will be reviewed. There's possibly maintenance to the drainage swale that is along Sand Lake Road. We'll have to work through that, see if that, but that is without this development or with the development. That is a whole entirely different question that the engineering public works department is addressing after meeting with the neighbors out there brought that up. So we will be looking into that. We already have partially, but with this development or no development, that area is still within the 100-year floodplain that floods. So it is part of the FEMA mapped flood.
So no matter what went there.
No matter what yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions from the counselors or comments?
Correct me if I'm wrong, Jared, but stormwater, I believe that where it said engineer, then if it's to like Wisconsin DNR standards and also goes to state for review for complying with those standards.
So the site will need an NR 216 permit, which will look at stormwater quality. The stormwater quantity portion will be reviewed by city staff, but they'll have a professional engineer that stamp plans and certify those plans that are submitted to the city. So yes, there are certifications that will have to be submitted.
And Jared, I had one more concern that the driveway that you said that the county was looking at the driveway, and because there is a concern when you curve that, I live on Sand Lake Road, so I go up that way and there's a lot of traffic there already. But coming out of there, that's at the curve. Is there going to be a way to improve that so we don't have a lot of accidents and issues?
To meet engineering design standards for sight distance, that's how far you can see at a certain speed and reaction time, it meets the engineering standards.
Okay, it does.
That's what the county highway commissioner is going to review when he looks at it. He did not see any problems with it being 35 miles an hour.
Okay.
Okay, did any other staff want to make any other comments? Any counselors have any other comments?
I just know we have a need for 3-bedroom homes in the area. Family sizes are getting smaller. I'll give you that, but it's a personal example, but my daughter has a friend whose family is looking for a 3-bedroom home here to rent, and there are none. There just are none in that place. So,
So, the motion on the floor is to deny the general development plan application. Let's have the voting be by roll call. Amanda.
Alder Whitecheck,
Nay.
Alder Lawendorf.
Nay.
Alder Benash,
Yes.
Alder Smith.
No.
Okay, so the denial fails and the approval passes. Okay, then the next one up is item pulled from the consent agenda is item N. The approval of the final implementation plan to create the plan unit development for the new row house development. This was approved at Plan Commission with the 10 conditions. So can we have a motion regarding this?
I think we would need a motion to approve item M, an approval. I don't know that
Oh.
the denial is an I know we voted down the denial, but I don't know that that's an automatic approval. So I think you would need a counter motion.
Okay, can we have a new motion regarding item M then? Thank you for that.
To approve item 10.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor from Kathy. It's been and seconded by Tom Smith to approve item M, the approval of the general development plan for tax parcel ID number 184509-11. Motion on the floor is to approve. Is there any discussion this time? All those in favor, please say aye.
I,
Those opposed say no.
No.
Motion passes 3-1. Moving on then to item N. Item N passed at Plan Commission with 10 conditions. This is approval of the final implementation plan to create the plan unit development to allow for the new row house development for tax parcel ID number 1845-191 with the 10 conditions. Do we have a motion on the floor regarding this?
I'll make a motion to deny the final implementation plan for the plan unit development for tax parcel 18-4509-1.
Thank you. We have a motion on the floor to deny this item by Jim Benash. Is there a second? This motion has failed for lack of a second. Do we have a new motion?
I make a motion to approve item N there, the approval of the final implementation plan application to create a plan unit development to allow for the new row house development project at tax parcel 18-4509-.
Thank you. We have a motion on the floor by James. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, motion made by James, seconded by Tom Smith to approve item N, the final implementation plan for this parcel. Is there any discussion on this item? Not seeing or hearing any, all in favor of approving this, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say no.
No.
Motion passes 3-1. For that. Okay, now we're back down to item 8 on the non-consent agenda for the Finance Committee. Tom Smith.
Here's the following list of money expanded since the last common council dated July 14th, 2026 for $2,017,280.75. I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion has been made by Tom Smith. Thank you for coming in. Seconded by Kathy Wollendorf to approve the vouchers. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye. Any opposed, say no. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Back to you, Tom.
Okay, resolution 22-2026, existing employer option resolution for Wisconsin Public Employer Group Health Insurance Program. Then turn it over to Rick. Talk a little bit about it.
Thank you. So in, excuse me, in the Administrative and Finance Committee packet, there was a memo, and my apologies, I didn't make it into the council packet. I did provide a copy of the memo to everybody prior to tonight's meeting at your seats. So in this year we were notified, so let me back up. We are under the ETF system when it comes to our health insurance. And we're notified this year that there was going to be a decrease in premiums of 29%. You may recall last year there was an increase in premiums of 17%. So there have been some significant increases in the premiums. So once we were notified of that, which wasn't that long ago, started having conversations amongst staff in regards to what are some options these types of increases are not sustainable for the city to continue maintaining, and so we had to look at other options. Under the ETF, if we want to change a plan, we do need to approve a resolution and send it up to them prior to, generally it's October 1st. They might have moved it up a little bit earlier this year because they maybe were expecting that this might happen because of the cost of increases. So after looking at the number of plans under ETF that they have to offer, there are a number of different plans that range from various types of deductibles, co-insurances, co-pays, all sorts of things. So I took a look at a number of different ones, and after kind of assessing things not only with regard to coverage, but with regard to cost in regards to co-pays, those types of things, I thought Plan 14, and so I'm going to refer to that as Plan 14, which is a deductible plan. We are currently under Plan 12, if there is no deductible and has good coverage. Plan 14 does have a deductible. Once the deductible is met, then the coverage will be the same thereafter. By switching to this plan, there would be some savings to employees, generally speaking, and to the city. If you look at the memo, I believe, here, there was going to be a significant increase to the city budget of over $600,000 by keeping things as they currently are. By modifying this plan, it does reduce it to a 20% increase, which is still not acceptable, of course, but it is better than what we were doing originally. So, or what time was originally. So the deductible would be 500 individual, 1,000 family, and again, after that, there would be some more coverage. So really what we're looking at tonight is asking for approval of the resolution, which would change us from Plan 12 to Plan 14. We've already had some conversations about, once we get to the budget process this year, of looking at some other alternatives outside, looking at other alternatives under ETF, and also looking at our other options outside of ETF, just to see what's available. Because again, these kinds of increases are not sustainable by the city. So we'll be having that. You will notice in the memo that there is a consideration. It has not been decided because it's a budgetary matter in regards to any kind of contribution towards employees to assist with a deductible. That is not part of the approval this evening, because that is something that the city decides to do. The city would do that in the budget process. So that is just a thought. I just wanted to bring it up. It's just that's something that's under consideration, but is not being approved at this time. So the request tonight is to approve the change from Plan 12 to Plan 14. Thank you.
Thank you, Rick. Any questions for Rick? Otherwise, I'll make a motion that we approve resolution 22-2026 for the existing employer option resolution, Wisconsin Public Employer Group Health Insurance Program. Second that. Any motion?
We have a motion on the floor by Tom Smith. It's been seconded by James to approve resolution 22-2026. Is there any further discussion? James?
Just, you mentioned, Rick, that would save the employees money. Does that mean the amount that they put into the program is going to cost them less, but then they have deductible?
Right, thank you for bringing that up. The premiums, yes, would be decreasing for employees, but yes, there would still be a net, not a net negative for them because by the time the deductible is paid, assuming that they doctor and have to meet the deductible in the first place. And for those employees who maybe don't have to doctor very often and don't have to use the deductible, it could be a net savings for them. So it just depends on the individuals themselves.
All right, thank you.
And what is the increased cost for the city as compared to 2026, going to 2027?
So under Plan 12, there would have been an increase of $646,000. And under Plan 14, the increase is $453,000.
Any other questions or comments from the council? All right. All those in favor of approving the resolution, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you.
Okay, resolution 23-2026, amending the 2026 equipment replacement fund for the operation of the city of Alaska for the year 2026. So Sabrina, would you like to talk a little bit about that?
I'm actually gonna let Joe take it.
Okay, Joe,
this
okay.
is related to IT items.
Okay, Joe, RT guy, all
So I
right.
can't pull it up on my computer to tell you exactly basically what this is amending it so that we can purchase new firewalls now and not wait until after the first of the year. There is a thing called FIPS 140-2 that is expiring on September 22nd. That requirement is making it so we need to purchase new firewalls now. So we are going to be purchasing new firewalls with the getting them in place before that expires. Another part of that would be also getting us some additional money to purchase the police server that has gone up exponentially in price and continues to go up in price due to the cost of RAM. So getting that purchased this year as well, so we don't have to pay even more next year.
Okay, Sabrina and then Rick.
I was just going to add, and I support using equipment replacement funds. I mean, every year that's where we try to move any type of excess revenues into equipment replacement. And in situations such as this, where the need is definitely there, I do support using the equipment.
Thank you for that. Rick?
Thank you. Normally we would budget for something like this through the budgeting process. The reason that we're coming forward now is that this was something that was unexpected that happened just about a month or two ago. And when Joe came forward and said this is something we needed to do, had a conversation with the members of the AENF committee, and it was appropriate to come forward and to request this. So normally we would budget for this, but this was something unexpected.
Well, I think we want to be cautionary when it comes to cybersecurity. Great. Any other discussion? I don't think we have a motion.
To approve resolution 2020.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor by Kathy. It's been seconded by Tom Smith to approve the resolution 23-2026. Sure.
You know, when we had discussed this at the meeting, we had talked about potentially taking from the reserves, or not the equipment protection from the fund balance. Yeah. So we're able to take it from equipment replacement instead of doing that.
Yeah.
Sabrina, go ahead.
And so essentially we'd be taking reserves from equipment instead of the jet park fund. So we're still going to be using reserves, just in my opinion, it makes sense to use equipment replacement. That's what that fund is set up for. But that's essentially.
Joe, did you want to say something?
Nope. It's good.
All right. Motion on the floor is to approve. All those in favor, please say aye. Any opposed, say no. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Okay, moving on to item 9, the Board of Public Works and Utilities. A is the heating, ventilation, and air conditioning upgrades bid. Barrett, had the bid opening.
Yeah, and there's probably a reason why you're figuring you don't have a bid tabulation.
Don't have a
in front of you.
bid tabulation form.
The reason why is because we received no bids today. So we will be rebidding the project. Hopefully trying to solicit bidders to bid our project. So that project will have to wait. We received no bids. It was sent to contractors. It was put onto the West site, which is our bidding site. It was all sent to the Builders Exchange and things like that. So we sent it to the usual locations. We just did not receive any bids.
Okay.
To be continued.
Ready then. On to item 10, the city administrator report. Rick?
Thank you. In front of you again is the report that I'm going to do each month. Just go over briefly. I don't have to read every single one of them to you. Negotiations have started with the fire department union as the contract expires at the end of this month. We met once and we will be meeting again in 2 weeks for further discussions. Update on the status of the fire chief recruitment. Final interviews are scheduled for August 18th. The EOC, Emergency Operations Center exercise, the tabletop exercise that I have mentioned a few times in the past, that is happening on Monday. And so the plan was to, at the September meeting, have an agenda item to let you know what took place. There are a few things that we'll need to make some changes to when it comes to policies in our ordinance as well. We had a recent meeting with Ellers in regards to the fire protection assessment fee. They kind of gave us an update in regards to where they're at, requested some additional information, which they were provided. And so we are expecting that we'll be getting some final information from them and ready for presentation here soon.
Staff Success Day is coming up August 27th, starts at 8 a.m. We have a bunch of speakers and activities lined up for the day. Always want to extend an invitation to all of the council members to attend. You're always welcome to attend, even if it's the part of the day, just to see what the day looks like. And so you're welcome to attend if you are able. I know some of you have reached out to myself or other staff in regards to citizen or resident complaint or concerns regarding scooters, e-scooters and e-bikes. Just kind of wanted to update you that we as staff, we get them as well too. And it has been something that has been steadily coming in throughout the summer. So I just want to let you know a couple of the things that we're working on and as we get more kind of vetted out, we'll have some further conversation with council about this. But we are looking at partnering with the Alaska School District to providing education in the schools for students and parents. One of their teachers had reached out in regards to doing some kind of education, particularly through the SRO officer. Also, we're looking at making some ordinance changes. We just had that discussion this morning to assist with some enforcement options. And then looking at the possibility of doing it at certain Waterville to kind of incorporate some of these things as well too. So we are looking at options. I just got another message today from a resident too regarding some even more concerning things that are going on. So some additional things that we'll need to take a look at as well. So but we're working on it. Again, I know a number of you have reached out. Just want to let you know that we are taking a look at that. And just letting you know that department budgets have been submitted. Next step is assessing what those look like and comparing it to what are resources that city has available. Thank you.
Sure. Yep, go ahead.
Okay, right, well, on the scooter thing, we were reaching out to the school district one last, if we considered reaching out to the school district home. Because a lot of District 1 is also in the school district up there, and I get a lot of complaints with scooters in that whole neighborhood up there. And that's would be the school district at home.
Yeah.
I don't know if we could maybe ask them if they would like to do something or jointly or something, should maybe help them educate like we do about stuff. That's a thought.
They have a different ordinance there.
They do have different ordinance there, correct? But yeah,
Well, we're in the city law last year.
sure. There was conversation because there are other like elementary, middle school or elementary school in Alaska Luther. So there was talk about reaching out, and so we'll kind of look at what.
Yeah, it was more of an education thing. I don't think it's a law thing. It's just more of an education.
They would presumably get hit with the water insert if we were to go that route as well too. So there might be some opportunities there as well.
Okay.
So yep.
Just a thought. Thank you.
Thank you.
You should probably use the expression, yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Very inappropriate. Okay, and then item B, discussion of possible action on future service delivery in the fire department. Do you want to comment first, Rick, or we?
I'll just turn it over to Jeremy.
All right, Jeremy, you
Thank
have
you.
the floor.
First, I'm gonna apologize if I lose my place. I got so excited I busted my glass.
I would borrow you mine, but you should.
I tried to ask. Nobody had it there. So attachment 10B in your packet was a memo that I put together. Really just trying to get the conversation started. As I'm a couple of months into the interim position and trying to get my feet under me.
Thank you for coming, Adrian.
Is trying to get, keep the ball rolling. And so you can see 10B, but as some of the council members are new from when we kind of started our process with the studies that we have been doing. We've been doing multiple studies. So I'm just going to give you a quick brief overview of that. So early in 2025, the city partnered with SEH to conduct a facilities and staffing study, which identified two of our biggest priorities. We are lacking staffing and we're not positioned the greatest to serve our entire community to our north and to our south and east portions of the fire district. We are also currently participating in a shared services study with the McMahon Group, who is looking at ways that we can collaborate with our regional partners, mostly being the village of Pullman and the town of Holland. The town of Alaska kind of falls under us. In that study as well, we just had a recent meeting with them that also identified that we're missing the mark to the north of our jurisdiction. And lastly, Rick just touched on this a little bit ago, that we have partnered with Ellers to look at the fire protection assessment fee in ways that could possibly in the future help with our staffing and our response month. Just a little bit of history here. In the last 5 years, we have experienced an increase of just under 43% in call volume. And in the last 10 years, We have steadily seen a decrease in our part-time staff involvement due to a couple of reasons. One is that in 2008, the state changed the requirements for firefighter. It doesn't, it's regardless if you're full-time or part-time, you have to have the same qualifications. And so we are competing with, all of our part-time members outside obligations, whether family or school or in other organizations. And so that program just isn't working. And so I think at the end of 2026, we're probably going to end that program simply because financially and time-wise, it's just isn't making sense for us. We're not able to retain the staffing. And due to this, with an average increase of about 9% in call volume annually, and then an annual increase of about 7% of concurrent calls, which calls that are back-to-back or multi-calls. We're only able to, with minimum staffing, able to handle 2 calls at most with 4 members. And so I think we really have to look at finding ways to creatively continue to serve our community effectively with both staffing and our response. And so being that our Town of Onalaska contract comes up at the end of 2027, and the fact that we have worked exceptionally well with them, and I have had nothing but good things come from the Town of Onalaska as well as us working with the Town of Onalaska, I think it would be a good idea to start the conversation of how can we collaborate together for a long-term commitment to each other, and in hopes to better serve both of our communities. That's kind of where this conversation is starting, is just knowing that 2027 is the end of that contract and at least get clocks going. I think overall it's going really well with us, and I'd like to see that continue long term. And if it's long term, I think it would help both of our community or both of the organizations financially and in terms of communities to rate.
Thank you for that, John. Go ahead, Rick.
Thanks. Jeremy, this is where you wanted to start talking a little bit about what that new contract might look like, and that provide the closed session items on the agenda.
Correct. I
Okay,
have some ideas.
okay, so before that, was there anything else? Do we want to cover any other points on here that would be open session related? Or
Really, the conversation can be guided whatever direction you guys want to go to. I do have 3 bullet points on there. It's completely up to you how you want to approach those things.
so? Rick?
I mean, I could throw out there as well too. One of the things obviously that's is the second fire station and how would that might look and the timing of all that. Well, we're not looking for the answers this evening by any means. I know there's been some discussions that have been had about do we start looking for a location and what does that look like? And so I think there was some hope that we could have a conversation. Is this something that the council is interested in? Having the fire department start looking for an actual location. If one is found, bring it back and start having a discussion about what that would look like. Again, there's a lot of pieces when it comes to station and staffing and those kinds of things. So it's not as simple as just finding a piece of property and saying we're going to buy this and build a station. A lot of other factors that go into a lot of the moving parts. But I know Jeremy has kind of looked around to see if there are any options of it that are available. And I'm not sure if you were able to speak to something you may or may not have found.
No, I have identified a handful of locations, mostly to the north, which would, I think, benefit both municipalities, just because it is in an area that would benefit the town of Onalaska as well as the city of Onalaska. Both the SEH study as well as the McMahon study have identified the northern area of our jurisdiction as being the problem area for response times. And I just thought, being that you just have that kind of a follow-up meeting with McMahon and reiterating the fact that that area is an issue for us. And being that study is a joint study with the Holman Area Fire Department, they also identified that they are struggling to the south of their district, which also opens up some opportunities as we are talking about ways that we can share resources or collaborate. That general area to the north of us and to the south of Holman just seems like a logical explanation for getting a conversation moving forward.
And anything more specific about that would be more appropriate for a closed session.
I think
We
so.
would want to discuss that in open session.
And I'll just add as well too, in regards to the having staffing, which I know this is badly needed in the fire department. the results from Ellers, what they are doing for us right now regarding the fire protection assessment meeting. You know, that is one of the key pieces that may help impact what that staffing model looks like going forward. So we'll have more information on that piece, hopefully at the September council meeting, but sometime in the not too distant future. So we can talk a little bit about that when that report comes out too. So.
Okay, Amanda?
I just want to make sure that we're being a little cautious about what should be an open session and what should be in closed session. So we did notice closed session only for the discussion of the Town of Onalaska fire services agreement. And so, you know, as that could relate to a new fire station, I think, you know, that can be appropriate, but just generalities related to a desire for
Someone didn't exercise.
that
Hit the button,
information.
Hit the button over next to the phone.
Right. That.
But just, you know, generalities related to a second station, the city's desire to pursue a second station, things like that, I do think we will need to talk about now in open session.
But if we were gonna partner with them and talk about cost sharing, something.
If you're going to get into the specifics of that, but if you just simply, you know, to say out loud, we're interested in cost sharing, I don't think would fall.
Okay. All right. So is there anything else anyone wants to discuss in open session, keeping the attorney's wisdom, wise words in mind? Okay, brings us to item 11. Discussion and possible action on the fire contract with the town of Onalaska. Note, the common council may convene in closed session under section 1985 1E of the Wisconsin state statutes for the purpose of deliberating or negotiating the purchasing of public properties, the investing of public funds, or the conducting of other specified public business whenever competitive or bargaining reasons require a closed session. The council may convene an open session to take the necessary action and or continue with the printed agenda. If no action is taken, the council may adjourn from closed session. Do we have a motion?
I make a motion, we go into closed session.
Is there a second? Second. Motion by Tom Smith, seconded by Kathy Lawndorf to go into closed session. Voting is by roll call.
Alder Weisner,
Aye.
Alder Lohendorf. Aye. Alder Manana,
Aye.
Alder Smith.
Aye.
We are in closed session. The time is 8:02.